Let us look at two quotations. One is by Richard Feynman and the other is by Albert Einstein. Before I go on any further, I want to emphasize the layperson's perception of these quotes rather than their empirical or methodological validity. The first quotation is from Richard Feynman, who says, "If I could explain it to the average person, I wouldn't have been worth the Nobel Prize." The second quotation is by Albert Einstein, who states, "If you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough." Why am I bringing up these two quotes in particular? The reason for this is that when the average person hears Richard Feynman's comment, "If I could explain it to the average person, I wouldn't have been worth the Nobel Prize," they typically become irritated, defensive, and have a negative hedonic reaction to their beliefs. The typical reply is Albert Einstein's quote, "If you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough." The Albert Einstein phrase is well known among the general public and lay people because it reinforces their maladaptive and self-imposed limitations. When it comes to Richard Feynman's quote, "If I could explain it to the average person, I wouldn't have been worth the Nobel Prize," the general public and lay people despise it because they lack the neurological capacity to study physics, distinguish between retrieval and storage strength, adapt different concepts and study conditions, use tests rather than presentations as learning events, distribute study efforts, and use tests to improve long-term retrieval of information. Furthermore, I would like to clarify how Albert Einstein's comment, "If you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough," was historically and empirically retracted to some extent. Albert Einstein was correct when he stated that 1. Motion is relative. 2. Light speed is constant, universal, and has an upper limit. 3. The length of a moving object is measured to be shorter than the length measured in the object's own reference frame. And 4. There is a variation in elapsed time as measured by two clocks, either due to a difference in relative velocity or a difference in gravitational potential between their positions. Albert Einstein's math teacher was Hermann Minkowski. Albert Einstein was a physicist, and Hermann Minkowski was a mathematician. Hermann Minkowski claimed that the correct approach to thinking about relativity is that space and time are part of a unified space-time with distinctive geometry. Albert Einstein wrote a paper criticizing Hermann Minkowski's unification of space-time because it places enormous mathematical demands on the reader. This is related to the quote, "If you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough." What many people do not realize is that Albert Einstein later abandoned his belief that space and time were independent, and that Hermann Minkowski's mathematically rigorous unification of space-time was accurate. So what is the purpose of this video? Everything will not be simplified because of your neurological obsolescence and self-imposed and maladaptive restrictions. You must comprehend that learning tasks that take a significant level of work and difficulty to increase long-term performance is important. If you don't have the time nor willpower to study physics, that is fine, but do it for something else. If you can't put a significant level of work and difficulty into anything, you will be conquered by those who can.